Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Tuesday, December 6, 2022. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Caribbean region can depend on Guyana being an active developmental partner, says Ali. GECOM staff mum at election COI due to pending criminal charges. Man hacked to death, brother critical after mining camp attack. Pump attendant brutally chopped, beaten by angry customer. And 1.7 million in losses after fire destroys grocery store at Edinburgh. Now for the news in detail. President Dr. Irfan Ali has underscored Guyana's belief in and unwavering support of regional integration during a regional security system breakfast meeting today in Bridgetown, Barbados. Here is our lead story tonight.
President Dr. Irfan Ali is currently in Barbados to participate in the 8th CARICOM-Cuba Summit. On Tuesday morning, he attended a meeting with the regional security system, of which Guyana became a member in September of this year. During the meeting, President Ali underscored Guyana's commitment to regional integration. The head of state made the remarks after handing over the document of ascension to the chair of the Ministerial Council of the RSS, Prime Minister of Grenada, Dickon Mitchell. Ali said, and I quote, "Guyana has always been and continues to be a regional player. We believe strongly in the region. Even before this morning, we have demonstrated our full trust and confidence in the RSS." End quote. He emphasized that Guyana's decision to join the regional body is closely linked to its policies and developmental strategies. The Guyanese leader expressed, and I quote, "I assure you that you can depend on our full support and the region can depend on us being an active partner for development." End quote. President Ali was also praised by the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amor Motley, and the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, for joining the regional organization and for his unwavering support towards regional integration. The RSS mainly serves as a defense system for the Caribbean Sea, conducting many operations by detecting and combating cross-Atlantic and intra-Caribbean drug smuggling, protection of the sovereignty of nations of the Caribbean, providing assistance to Caribbean countries at the request of governments, and are usually the first to respond after natural disasters occur, such as hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes. Meanwhile, on Monday evening, President Ali attended a reception in honor of the participants at the 8th CARICOM-Cuba Summit. This December also marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between CARICOM and Cuba. President Ali is accompanied by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Hugh Todd, Guyana's ambassador to CARICOM George Talbot, and other officials.
The National Assembly today passed long-awaited amendments to the Representation of the People's Act after entertaining impassioned presentations and arguments from both sides of the aisle for and against the electoral reforms being presented. Gerald Bryan has the details.
Attorney General Anil Nandalal, who presented the bill, emphasized why it was necessary and what the bill seeks to do. Not only does the bill increase the number of polling places, it also mandates the Registrar of Deaths to submit the names of the deceased so they can be removed from the list.
We agree, Mr. Speaker, that dead people ought not to be on the list. Under the Constitution, they are disqualified and they must be removed. Unfortunately, it would appear that they have not been removed at periodic intervals from the list. That's the report out there. I don't know. I never checked it. What we are doing, Mr. Speaker, now is to make it mandatory for the Registrar of Deaths to furnish to the Chief Registration Officer a list of dead people every 4 months and the requisite information confirming those deaths.
His bill received support from Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat, who also responded to the opposition's call for biometrics. In fact, he noted that the government is not against biometrics, but that they must complement, not replace the system.
We heard from the member that spoke from the opposition benches before the Deputy Speaker about the list. Mr. Speaker, let us remind them that this is the very list that they claim to won the 2015 elections with. But when they won in 2015, the list was good. The list was clean. The list was perfect. But when they lost in 2020, oh, it is a bloated list. The list is padded. Dead people voted. And all sorts of excuses we're hearing from them today. But it is the very list. It is the very list that they won the election in 2015 with.
The opposition made repeated calls for the bill to be sent to a special select committee. In fact, AFC Member of Parliament Kemraj Ramchatan hinted that parts of the bill might even get opposition support.
In the amendment in subsection 3, this is section 2, it says in subsection 3, in the opening part for the word resident, substitute this word with registered addresses. A lot of these amendments, you carry them to the select committee, a lot of them will be supported. But this one here is the big setup for some very nasty things that can happen in future elections by impersonation, as we found in the recount. That is what is going to happen.
However, Minister of Public Service Sonia Parag made it clear that they were long past the time to send the bill to a special select committee.
There was enough time for that to be raised. Not only that, Mr. Speaker, this bill was, all the amendments in this bill was placed on the website of the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance. And you know what's worse, Mr. Speaker, is that I sit in a committee on the IRI just as the honorable member, and I have brought it to their attention many times that it is on that website. So for the honorable member to come here and pretend as if this bill is now coming and what is it, ram down their throats, I don't think so. I do not think so, because I have been through the process from beginning as well.
The 68-page bill to reform Guyana's electoral laws was eventually passed, with Deputy Speaker Lennox Schumann, the lone opposition member, supporting it. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
The testimonies of several persons employed by the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, could not be received on Tuesday during the Elections Commission of Inquiry, owing to pending investigations and charges instituted against them. Rupert Ryan reports.
GECOM employees Denise Bab Cummings, Sheffron February, Michelle Miller, and Carolyn Duncan were summoned to appear before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the March 2020 general and regional elections on Tuesday. But on Monday, they initiated proceedings in the form of an injunction, citing that the summons amount to a breach of their constitutional rights against self-incrimination under Article 144 of the Constitution. However, Bab Cummings, February, and Duncan appeared before the COI with attorney U.C. Anderson on Tuesday morning, where Chairman retired Justice Stanley John reiterated that neither were granted by the High Court.
It is my respectful view that their attendance here as witnesses to speak to issues for which they are potentially, well, in Ms. Duncan is potentially criminally to be prosecuted, and the others actually being criminally prosecuted. I'm humbly asking for only their biometric data or anything that is in the public information, be that information elicited.
Anderson had also written the commission to this effect. As such, they were given a chance to make any statements before the commission, to which they all chose to remain silent. In August 2020, Sheffron February, Michelle Miller, and Denise Bab Cummings were slapped with charges in relation to electoral fraud. They were accused of inflating the results of Region 4, the country's largest voting district, to give the APNU AFC coalition a majority win at the polls. Assistant Registration Officer Carolyn Duncan is still being investigated by the Guyana Police Force and is on station bail. It is alleged that she, along with others, conspired to rig the elections.
A $50 million contract was on Sunday signed for emergency construction works to be done on the bridge at Beefield, Sophia, Georgetown, popularly known as the Blacker Bridge. Find out more in this Lawanda McAllister report.
Permanent Secretary of the Public Works Ministry Vladimir Prasad on Sunday signed the $15 million contract with Modern Construction and Trucking Services for the upgrade of Blocker Bridge, Sophia, Georgetown. The project is estimated to last 3 months and will see a brand new bridge built to replace the previous one, which had been in a dilapidated state for some time. Minister within the Office of Prime Minister with responsibility for public affairs, Kwame McCoy, who was present at the signing ceremony, told residents of the government's continued commitment to delivering quality service to all citizens. Sophia residents were grateful for the intervention.
This bridge has been a problem for a number of years and we have been complaining about it. Only recently I was on the radio and the television talking about it as an accident waiting to happen. Fortunately, a few weeks ago, a few of the ministers came in here and the residents complained about the same issue. I am so happy that only recently we complained about this bridge and I see the action that is being done. I'm happy for the people because I live here and I know how important this bridge is.
I feel real great that we're getting a new bridge because the traffic can get it for flow free and nice and we not get no bugging, nobody not quarrel, nobody not rowing. Because I try for sure that we're coming across the bridge always one. If we work with a cooperation, vehicle could come and go. But you see now everybody's cussing one another and bullying and things sometimes. Even car might more new brand than somebody them and one other person going the old. But always one whenever the day done. Inside me, and I representing the part of Susan Rodriguez, Aisha Bai. Same way. Inside me, I see part of PPP. Inside me, I put my up on front page, loud and proud. That's hardball. Inside me.
I am very, very much happy and anticipating the commencement of the new bridge. Due to the fact of the build-up of traffic and the inconveniency of the persons them who's got to be lining up sometimes for hours, and the many quarrels that could lead to violent fights about not able to have proper traffic flow. I want to say thanks to the President, Mr. Infanal Ali, the Vice President, Mr. Barajagdio, and all other members of the party who is in effort to see this bridge be done as early as possible.
So I'll start doing something good in the community. And we like how you cooperate to develop the place and the bridge. Yes, thank you very much. We all be done for us.
I'm a resident of Sophia for over 28 years. And I think there's a really good look where the government is looking into the people in the community. Because apart from the community, I operate a horse cart and it's not valuable for a horse to step over upon this line here. And also we have traffic to and fro. It's an obstruction because the road is narrow, right? I would like for the government also look into expanding the road a little bit more, even to the width of the bridge. This one on this half face is acceptable, but on the other half, if they could construct a metal bridge, it would last a long time because I've been from a youth man to adult and even have children in the community. We'd like to, there's a good emphasis with the government is putting into it. So I would like to say thanks and hats off to everyone that come out and participate.
I've been a resident of Sophia of 20-something odd years, and I think it's a great initiative that the government is doing because this is a main bridge. Persons, East Coast, West Coast, all around, and a lot of accidents have been going on the bridge, whereby the bridge cave in and stuff like that. So vehicles have like traumatization whereby whenever they're going to come, they will be asking people, is this bridge good to use and stuff like that. We would be like telling them not to use the outside, but to use the other side in case, accident or anything. So I think that the government is doing a great initiative. I'm happy, I'm pleased. We've been doing cleanup campaign this morning. I felt so great. We clean up the place, it looked bright and nice. So I'm very much happy with the initiative.
I live in Sophia for over 28 years. I'm very impressed with the work that has been done so soon. Sorry, not done started. Matter of fact, because I think last month we had a meeting and I raised about the bridge and it actually looked into.
Preview government that is in power, that was in power, they didn't do nothing for Sophia. You understand? And these is things that they could do for Sophia. So I want to say thank you. Thanks to the president, thanks to the vice president, and the Minister Kwame, Minister Jill, you know, and the rest of ministers. I want to say thanks to them and for the things them that they're doing, not only for Sapphire, but the things that they're doing right away around Guyana.
Lawanda McAllister for the Evening News.
Coming up, U.S. Embassy donates oxygen generators for hinterland regions, and Rupununi trip incomplete without visit to Mokomoko Falls. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
With unlimited games to choose from, you can be a winner with Superbet. Choose from our virtual sports, live betting, sports betting, live roulette, and much, much more. Place your bets at www.superbet.gy or visit any one of our agents. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 18 and over. Play responsibly.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Did you know that the government has funded the 2022 budget through oil revenues? Yes. Money earned from oil production offshore is being used to support projects in Guyana, including social programs like the increase of public assistance and old age pension, as well as cash grants to support the vulnerable members of society.
Premier insurance coverage for less. Stay safe.
On the job, you know how it goes. 1 minute, everything's going right, and the next, something goes wrong. Don't worry, Premier Insurance will make things right again. For all risks insurance, call 223-0840 or visit premierinsurance.gy. Fuel your success. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Police are investigating an attack that occurred today at the Hopkinson mining camp in Region 7 and left one man dead and his brother critically injured. Dead is 32-year-old Raphael Cadogan of Linden, Region 10, while his younger brother Clive is battling for his life. The siblings were allegedly attacked by another miner and were brutally chopped about their bodies. Reports are that the incident stemmed from a football match which took place on Monday, during which the younger brother and the suspect had a disagreement. A 27-year-old pump attendant is calling for proper police investigation into an incident in which he was brutally chopped to his head and beaten allegedly by an angry customer at around 20 hours on October 30, 2022. Injured is Kemraj Ramcharan, also known as Kiran of Cottonfield, Essequibo Coast, Region 2. This father of one has been employed at Riff's gas station as Henrietta in Region 2 for over 8 years. Ramcharan told the Evening News that around 17 hours on the day in question, a motorcar drove into the gas station and stopped at the pump. He approached the vehicle but had difficulty seeing inside. So he stood at the pump for about 5 minutes, waiting for the driver to open the vehicle's gas tank. Ramcharan said he then saw the front passenger window wind down and heard a male voice shouting, "You have me like a clown waiting, hey." He recalled that the driver, a slim Amerindian man, exited the vehicle and shouted, "You want to joke you up?" Ramcharan said he told the driver he would have to leave if he continues to be aggressive. He said the driver then began to verbally abuse him. He later departed but promised to return. Ramcharan said that at around 22 hours, as he was closing the pump, he received an impact to his head that threw him to the ground. He was unconscious for a while, and when he regained consciousness, he was lying on a bed at the Georgetown Public Hospital with several injuries to his head. His right hand was also broken. Ramcharan believes his attacker is the same driver from that earlier encounter, and he is calling on the police to launch a proper investigation so he can get justice. We now tell you that a fire, which is believed to have been deliberately set this morning, destroyed a grocery store at Edinburgh, East Bank, Berbice, Region 6. Our Berbice correspondent, Andrew Carmichael, has that story.
The building was owned by Bibi Boodoo of Rotterdam Village, also on the East Bank of Berbice. Reports are that a fire was seen in the vicinity of the back door of the Edinburgh grocery store shortly before 2 hours on Tuesday. Neighbors reportedly formed a bucket brigade in an attempt to put out the blaze. However, because of the time of the fire, not many persons were present. They were unsuccessful in their attempts with the bucket brigade and as such opted to use a hose and source the water from a nearby pipe. However, as the process commenced, the water supply was cut off from the pump station. Boodoo says when she arrived, persons were there with buckets in their hand, but the heat prevented them from going close to the burning building. When the fire service arrived, the officers quickly dozed the flames. Evidence of a bag of garbage which was used to start the fire was seen at the back door. Divisional Fire Officer Clive MacDonald said the fire was maliciously started. Boodoo says she had been running the business for the past 10 years and only last week stocked up for the anticipated increase in sales for the holidays. The woman had left the store at about 21 hours 30 on Monday evening.
But I sell yesterday whole day, but I go in last night to collect a bottle of water and then I
5 gallons.
And I come out, but I go and see the bill, go and check in the building because whole day I went there. So me come home and this morning 1:30 time, my neighbor called me and tell me the shop on fire.
Sources say a female was seen in a nearby bus shed sometime after midnight. The incident took place on the morning of Boodoo's 34th birthday. There are reports that a close family member had expressed interest in the land the grocery is on. Losses are estimated at $1.7 million. Police are investigating. Andrew Carmichael for Evening News.
The government of Guyana, through the Ministry of Health, today received 3 oxygen generators, valued at over US $500,000 from the United States Embassy's Security Cooperation Office. Lawanda McAllister tells us more.
The US $500,000 worth of oxygen generators were donated through the USA Southern Command Humanitarian Assistance Program and will be deployed to Mabaruma, Lethem, and Mahdia. This, according to the Health Ministry, would help to reduce the millions of dollars spent by the government to transport oxygen to these far-flung regions. During a handing over ceremony on Tuesday, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony said that one of their biggest challenges faced by the government was upgrading the medical services in these regions.
In the interior of Guyana, the challenge has really been how do we upgrade those services to make sure that people can have access to good quality service. And so in 2020, in the height of COVID, we were also working on restructuring Mabaruma Hospital. We were also working on restructuring Lethem Hospital. And we made these interventions to make the hospital even more user-friendly. We invested through the Smart Hospital project in both of these facilities. And we were able to use solar energy in some parts of it. And then we recognized as we were restructuring these hospitals that many of the wards did not have piped oxygen.
The minister said normally they would get an oxygen tank and move it to the wards so that they would be able to help patients. He said at one point while doing this, there was an unfortunate accident where the tank fell on the patient and caused major injuries.
We knew that this was a suboptimal method. And we have since corrected that at the COVID hospital because we now have piped oxygen throughout the hospital. We invested a lot of resources to make sure that that happened. But in Lethem and Mabaruma, we have started a project where we are now putting in pipe oxygen in all the key wards. So that now is going to be where you have to roll in tanks. That's a thing of the past now. And so they are about to complete that. And with this addition of being able to generate our own oxygen on site, so basically when we generate the oxygen, it goes into these pipelines that we have and it goes directly to the patient. That's going to make a huge difference.
Meanwhile, U.S. Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch said she's proud of the donation since it will help the interland communities.
The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how vulnerable, actually, the standard supply of oxygen in a medical system could be, no matter where you are in the world. Therefore, it's vital to plan and this time have in place an efficient, sustainable, and low-cost solution that will protect and help fellow Guyanese in case of emergencies, and especially in the hinterland communities.
The oxygen source will allow the hospitals to generate their own oxygen on site for day-to-day operations, emergencies, and other instances where oxygen is needed. Lawanda McAllister reporting for the Evening News.
The National Assembly on Monday approved $3 billion in supplementary funding for the Guyana Sugar Corporation, GECOM, and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority. Details in this Charles Bryan report.
The $3 billion in funds requested for GECOM and the NDIA were part and parcel of Financial Paper Number 3, which was laid in the National Assembly. According to a breakdown of the sums, $1 billion was requested for GECOM and $2 billion for NDIA. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa gave some insight into how the money for GECOM will be expended.
If I can explain it, that the operating estate, we are, as I said, we are rehabilitating those equipment, and the shutter estate, we are trying to get those estate back on track. As I said, there are a lot of money being expended at Rosal. We have budgeted for the entire year to date, we have spent $12 billion, but then we have another set of equipment that we have to set up to ensure that we continue with the tillage. And there were a number of equipment, let me be very frank. There are a number of equipment that was set aside and left in the field that we have to rehab. Critical piece of equipment. We have to do a lot of work on the gantry. We have to do a lot of work on the pond dumper. Those are things that are critical for improved production in the sugar industry. And that is what we are doing to ensure that we get these things done.
The Albion Sugar Estate will receive $363 million, Blairmont Estate $76 million, and Rosal Estate $561 million. While disaggregating information on NDIA's allocation, the minister disclosed that $46 million will go to Region 2, $272 million to Region 3, and $588 million to Region 4. Region 5 was allocated $97 million, Region 7 $228 million, Region 9 $9 million, and Region 10 $70 million. The minister noted that $426 million was budgeted to undertake mechanical works to NDIA equipment, as well as $261 million set aside to cover fuel. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
A trip to Region 9 is not complete without visiting the beautiful Mokomoko Falls, a haven for tranquility. Andrew Carmichael has this story.
Waterfalls are one of nature's gifts to mankind. At Mokomoko Falls, or otherwise known as Sky Valley Falls, we understand why. Just 1 hour or 24 kilometers away from the town of Letem in the North Rupununi and on the Guyana-Brazil border, the water is pounding the natural rock formation. There, visitors can take a dip in the refreshingly cool lagoon and escape into relaxation. The fall is only a part of the attraction when visiting the tourist site. There is the unique 999 stairway to the top of the mountain. But before you get there, there is the Mokomoko Hydro project. The hydro station was hit by a mudslide in July 2003, resulting in cessation of operations. Efforts were being made to resuscitate the facility, but a fire a few years later destroyed the power plant. The building still stands and is part of Sky Valley Tours, which takes you to the lengthy stairway, if you can make it. Ashton Primus has been running the tours since 2007.
We have a package what we call a Sleeping Giant Tour, which is 3 days and 2 nights to the top of the Sleeping Giant. So we spend 1 night on top of the Sleeping Giant, and then we go down to another place we call Pristine Waterfall, which is I have on my badge here. Then you spend another night there. And then you head down back all the way to the dam and then down the steps. So that's 3 days and 2 nights.
How far is this from Letem?
From Letem to Mokomoko is basically 24 kilometers. And to get up to the Sleeping Giant, you're looking at another 6 hours from the basement right here in Mokomoko. From the basement of the Sleeping Giant, it's 6 hours to get to the top.
There, one can overlook the Rupununi savannas and get an overhead view of some parts of the Pacaraima mountain range. The mountain contains several aquifers which residents of the village of Mokomoko use for fishing. Prima says there is enough fish in the mountains for the entire village of about 1,500 people. If you're still not convinced, another reason to embark on the tour, some of the proceeds go towards buying fuel for the bus which takes children of the village to school. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Damarara Harbor Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Wednesday, December 7th at 4 hours 15 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berwick River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Wednesday, December 7th at 15 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours.
Groups decided for President's Cup National Leg, and Tiger Rentals returned for second outing with KFC Tournament. Details of these stories and more in this sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
It's November already and soon it will be Christmas, so we at John Lewis Styles are giving away one Amazon Echo show every week in November and every day in December. Stream music and videos, make video calls and control smart devices, alarms, reminders and lots more. Every $5,000 spent gives you a chance to win when you shop for clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage and accessories. So visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles, simply
This Christmas, guess what? You're guaranteed to save big right at National Hardware Limited. Shopping for Christmas trees? We've got all sizes from the traditional to the ones with a modern twist. Garlands, wreaths, lights, and Christmas inflatables are what you need to bring that Christmas cheer. Out with the old and in with the new. We've got curtains, carpets, and so much more to spruce up your home for the holidays. Save time too, and get presents for both boys and girls, whether big or small. National Hardware has you covered, in more ways than one this holiday season. Check out our superstore at 13 to 14 Industrial Site, Rumvelt. Telephone number 231-1091-95. Or downtown at 17 to 19A Water Street. Telephone number 227-1961.
Gold mining can be expensive if you don't have the right tools. Mining requires engines that can pump high volumes of water and slurry, the most tried and tested of which are Doots engines. Doots engines are among the most reliable in the world. Where can you get them? At your #1 industrial solutions provider, Sylvies. We have them in 2 to 6 cylinders, ranging from 23 horsepower to 80 horsepower. Most miners use Doots engines because they're lightweight, use less fuel, and require less maintenance because they are air-cooled. So what are you waiting for? If you can't make it to our 31 High and Hatfield Streets, Georgetown location, we can deliver. Give us a call on 227-6226 or WhatsApp us on 623-7755 or visit our website sylviesonline.com. Sylvies Industrial Solution, proudly serving Guyana for over 4 decades.
Ocho. 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 Organic Ocho candy. What's inside counts.